This presentation has been created together with my colleague András Kiséry, with whom we worked together on this research. And our purpose is to, well, the original purpose was to invest how the Hungarian words translated into foreign language behaves. What are the distribution? What kind of other languages has been translated to? Who are the translators? What are the time and space dimensions and so forth? We are working with a similar bibliographical database. Our two main sources is a Hungarian bibliography, which has been created by Tibor Demeter and his wife, Rózsa Óvári. Unfortunately, Tibor Demeter died in 1978, so that's the end point of this bibliography. But it is analytical bibliography. So if let's say the Pravda in Moscow published a poem from a communist poet in 1938, then it is contained. The other important source is Index Translationum, and this is the common denominator in this translation study field. Everybody uses that. This is a database created by the UNESCO. Unfortunately, it was ceased to exist about 50 years ago. Sometimes it is available, sometimes it is not available, and this is not an analytical tool, so it is it contains only books, but not periodical publications. And we enriched with data with library catalogs and many other sources. But bibliographical data itself doesn't tell you the whole story. Robert also mentioned that sometimes you need the full text, and in our case, we need some not quantitative but qualitative analysis and go deeper. So just two examples for this. Probably one of the most famous Czech novel is Hašek's The Good Soldier Schweig. The German translation has been created by Greta Reiner in Prague, and this German translation made the novel really famous, and the news and the news get to the Hungarian and French translators, or one of the French translators, and they decided that they work together on the Hungarian and the French translation. They were friends, this Frigyes Karikás and Pál Aranyosy, who were dissidents also, lived in Paris at that time. The first volume has been translated by a Czech guy, but for a reason I don't know, he did not translate the whole book, so the second volume was translated by a Hungarian guy. And the French translation has been used in translating, in creating more translation to the Portuguese and Turkish translation was not created from Czech, but from French. Unfortunately, these relationship between the translations are not clear from the bibliographical data itself. You have to deep dive and figure out the details from other sources. The other hidden information, one example of another hidden information is this book. This is the again a famous Russian book, Master and Margarita. When I opened the book, I found that the book has been translated from an edition which has been published in Moscow, 1973. The problem is that the translator has been died 3 years before. So evidently, this is a fake information. And when we deep dive, it turned out that there's a nice, or not so nice story. Bulgakov died in 1940, and he was never able to publish the book because of censorship. However, he was the favorite writer of Stalin, but still he was censored, and his widow tried to publish the novel in several ways, and one of the way was that as a tourist he went to Budapest, and within the clothes she hid the manuscripts and pass it to the translator. Unfortunately, the first fully and not censored. This was really the first publication in 1973 in Russia. Previously, there was another publication in the Soviet Union, but in Estonia or Latvia, and only the first non-censored edition was published in the early 90s, so after the collapse of the Soviet Union. But again, this story could not be explored only via the bibliographical data. Another problem is that it is not evident how to find a translation in a bibliographical data set. This is from the Boston data set Wojtek mentioned, the Scottish literature in translation data set. This is another aggregated data set. So they aggregate mark records from different catalogs, and they do not originally catalog themselves. And in mark, there are multiple ways how to encode or record whether the book is a translation, what is the language of the translation, what is the source language, the original title, original language, source edition, and other information. And you can find that some of these information are not available at all in the catalog. Some information is partly available. And in this data set, it is guaranteed that every item is a translation. So it should be perfect, but it is not. And this screenshot is made from a tool I'm working with in QA catalog, and in the next 2 weeks in Poznan, I will work to improve this thing and made a tool with which you can detect what is a translation and extract the relevant data. Okay, another thing regarding to translation is perspective, centers, and peripheries. If you check the translation studies, you find that there is a hypothesis that there are important centers like Paris or New York, and if you publish somewhere there, it is the gateway to other translations. This is true, but not the full picture, because because this kind of marketing value of a center is only one element of the translation. And during the Cold War, which was one of our focus, there were many other or some other factors. So the aesthetical value of the novel is also an important. The market value was less important in, at least in the under the communist regimes, where market was not an important thing, but political and cultural relationship between the countries was very important. But still, it is not a simple. So let's check the data. This is a simple graph, shows how the Hungarian literature has been published in several communist countries, and for the comparison, we add West Germany, this dotted line. In some cases, or the majority of the time period, it was the East Germany who were very active in publishing books. So the political power was, of course, in Russia, in the Soviet Union, but still Russia dominates this flow of translation. Only a small amount of time in the period. We made a network analysis as well. This is the full picture. Denotes represents regions. Regions in our case means a territory, mostly countries. But for example, in Czechoslovakia we had 2 regions, and for the Soviet Union we had several regions based on languages. We can see here that West and East of Europe are radically different in terms of what has been translated. The connection is the common authors. They 2 countries publish at the same time. The arrows denotes the time. So if a book has been published first in Polish and then in Czech, then the arrow denotes the falling of the. It doesn't necessarily means a direct effect, but at least in time, Polish was the first. And we can see that there are lots of arrows both within the West countries and within the East countries, but less arrows across. And if we go deeper, we can see that we zoom and we limit the number of shared authors larger and larger, and we can see that this is those regions who shared at least 31 authors, and we can see that most of them are from the East, and only some of them are not from East. Yugoslavia is a specific situation, and in this data set we had a special problem that before 1919 there was a language called Serbo-Croatian, and bibliographical items also contain Croatian. However, right now Serbs and Croatian libraries that they were not Serbo-Croatian, they were either Serbian or Croatian, but we need some help to fix and detect whether it is real Serbian or Croatian or something else. Anyway, if we go deeper, we can find that these are the core relationship. We can see that Romanian is quite different than the rest. It has commons with the Czech in terms of Hungarian authors. And what we see here also that Russia has a strong connection with Poland, East Germany, both sides of Czechoslovakia, but with the Polish, the balance was not equal. So Russian more followed. Russian was more a follower of the Polish than backwards. And at the largest zoom, we can see that Polish literature has not so connected to this core of the network, which was Czechoslovakia, East Germany, and Russia. But we can see that Russia has the strongest connection with the Slovakian part, and this was also not a balanced relationship. So the conclusion is that while Russia was a real center in political sense, but was not a center in literature sense, and we don't see any concrete centers, at least in terms of Hungarian literature. We can also check the delay of the original publication and the translation, and we can see a different kind of pattern. At the bottom of the graph, the blue denotes the short time where the translation followed the original publications. And what is interesting is that in the Soviet Union and mainly in Russia, at the end of the period, at the end of the Cold War, contemporary authors has been decayed and they were not published. They concentrated more on so-called classical works, while in the first world, meaning in West Europe and the United States, the contemporary authors has been translated in a short period. It did not change a lot. Two examples. One is Milan Füst, and the other is Géza Gárdonyi. They were in the top most translated authors, and they had a quite different pattern. So while the first one, Milan Füst, The Story of My Wife, is a highbrow literature, so it is on the level of great prices. So authors like Mario Vargas Llosa or Günter Grass or something like that. So this kind of literature, aesthetically at least, and it has been the publication was clearly driven by the market. While Gárdonyi is a historical and romantic novel. This is one of the classics of Hungarian literature. However, right now it is taken as a young adult literature, not a highbrow one, and the current 10-year-old students read it in this qualified, if it's still the case, I guess. And it is clear that it was the Hungarian state who who pushed the translations. So lots of translation has been published within Hungary or with statewide contract between, let's say, the Hungarian state and Polish state. And yeah, it was mostly published in the East. Another aspect or another kind of pattern, and I would like to thank Andrei for the hints. So in a paper, he and Cesari gave up with the idea of clustering. So we checked which author has been published in which linguistic region, and we created clusters. These clusters are not quite clear, so we have to improve a little bit on the methodology. But it is clear that we have, from these 5 big clusters, at least 3 which has some rather clear profile. So this one, the first one, is more a Central European one. On the right-hand side with the 3, it is a more or less clear Western European one, and the 5th one is more or less an Eastern European or Second World cluster. Of course, these clusters are not quite clear, so you can see dots everywhere, and the dots representing the geographic coordinates of the capital of the region. So you can see that even in the West German cluster, you can find publication from Moscow. But again, it means that in this cluster, the majority of the authors has been published in West Europe, and only the minority of their book has been published in East. Of course, there are edge cases, for example, immigrant or dissident writers who were prohibited even in Hungary, but they has been published in Dutch, in English, in France, and so forth. Another aspect, another pattern is to go on the personal level. So far, I showed you a group analysis where we analyze the whole group of writers. We go down. Probably he's the most prolific contemporary Hungarian author, László Krasznahorkai. And this graph shows you the languages and when they has been published one or more work of Krasznahorkai. And it is clear that there were important point somewhere in after 2010, where there were lots of translation, and there were some pioneers. Most important one is German. So German translation has the first one, and for about a decade, only German translation has been created from Krasznahorkai's work, and then we had first English translation, the first French translation, the first Bulgarian translation, and so forth. It is also evident that this breakthrough is somehow correlated. Unfortunately, Zoom hides this important part of the graph, but you can try to. Okay, so you can see that the dots are dense, became dense at a point after 2010, and this is correlated with the multiplication of the languages. So this Hebrew, Croatian, Dutch, Romanian, has been at the same time. We don't know whether there were an effect of it, but it's interesting. We can go to book level, and it is also clear that as we go with the timeline, the first translation has been appeared closer to the Hungarian one, and even sometimes it is before the Hungarian one. I don't explain right now why it happens, and there's also an interesting point that the English and French language are not in synchron in terms of translation. So French translate different books than the English translators. So it means that the French translations doesn't have an effect from the English translation, or not necessarily. They are autonomously decide what books they would like to choose to translate. And this is the last thing I would like to mention. So translation is one thing, but also we would like to get information about the reception. So what is the effect of the translation? And this slide is from an upcoming article from two other Hungarian researchers, and they analyzed the Wikipedia pages of Central European authors of four countries: Slovakia, Poland, Czech Republic, and Hungary. What are the authors who has a single language entry, two language entry, three language entry, and four language entry? So the four language entry are forms the canon of the Central European literature, at least according to Wikipedia. This is only one source. The reception have other important sources, and on the last side you can find different links to our research. We have a blog where we regularly post more detailed information than what I showed you. We have the bibliographies published and some of the source code. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Questions?
If you can go back to that slide with the delay obligation. Because I just want to ask, where was the pink category?
Yeah.
Are these the errors or because
No. This is minus number, which means that the Hungarian version has been published later than the translation, and it has at least two different reasons. One is the nature of the publication industry. For example, in Germany, they tend to publish individual plays, while in Hungary, plays usually are published in anthology, so multiple plays together, but not a single play. And for example, there were one of the most important playwright who was allowed to write plays, and theaters was allowed to make performances, but he was not allowed to publish the plays. The other reason is dissident and immigrant writers. I guess the same in Czech.
I'll have a question regarding actually your data set and your presentation and the correlation between the two, because in the beginning you were talking about that your data actually end in 2009, but you're presenting also research results on data that are actually more recent.
Yeah.
That's one question. And the other question is, I was kind of amazed by how few the translations are. That is just under 10,000, because to my experience, similarly sized countries like Hungary or Czech Republic, Finland, the Netherlands, they have normally, and that is actually throughout that long period of time, slightly over 20,000 translations. So my question actually goes to how reliable your sources are. You were talking about using index translation, which they stopped cataloging after like 2010, but already in the 1990s it was extremely unreliable. So what other resources are you planning to use, and how are you going to merge them and actually enrich them? Because it seems to me that the data set will be quite unreliable as it was presented.
Yeah. This 9,000 something is about books up until 2009. This is the latest entry in our data set. I don't think that there are many more. So I'm pretty sure that this guy was quite good in collecting this. But there are about 60,000 more in analytical ways. So which has been published in newspapers, or he also recorded a short story which was published in an anthology. But we have only 9,000 books. For the contemporary thing, this Krasnorka is an exception, because there will be a exhibition for his life achievement, and we have the curator. So we did a specific data collection about his works. But I mentioned this QA catalog. So our plan is to take all the library catalogs we can access. We can access about 50 catalogs, and we would like to analyze them. The first thing we would like to concentrate in Czech, Polish, probably Slovakian, but we don't have Slovakian data, so Central European data set, because of partly the ELB and partly your work. So we have some overview of the Czech situation, and we have an overview of Hungarian, so we can compare these two things. And with this, we would like to enlarge our corpus.
Do we have a question in the chat?
No, there's no question.
I have one question for Péter and also for others involved in translation studies. So from your experience, has the field in general produced some impactful results on, I don't know, European or even country level? So with the results, you can go to offices that promote culture, Czech culture abroad, or Polish culture abroad, or things like that. So is this kind of results of this, and of what is being translated, is it mature enough so that some ministries of culture would be interested in the results? Or because I know index translation is in UNESCO, for example, so it's an indication that there is a general topic is of interest to some policy makers and so on. So are the results already mature enough, or some countries they are mature in some languages? What is the
my impression is that it is not yet. I would say that most of the translation study paper are using this index translational, which means that they focus on usually a particular language. They don't have too much comparisons between languages, and I'm aware of only a single book which about the east side of Europe. So other than András' paper, there's another Czech researcher I'm aware of. I'm not aware of any Polish research or Lithuanian research in this.
I'm asking because I know that, for example, we have a Polish specific bureau that is into like agency or Ministry of Culture that is into tracking how literature is being Polish literature translated. Of course, year by year, they're not interested in some historic studies.
So no, of course, you know, there are multiple studies in sociology of translation that focus on how these organizations function, and there is quite extensive coordination of the activities between these agencies across Europe, and the sociology of literature tries to understand how it works. And you know, there are connections between researchers and the institutions. And I'm personally in touch with the Czech agency that provides the literature abroad. So they are kind of interested in the data, but at the same time, I don't think they have the capacity to kind of digest what we are able to produce. And they mostly focus on their ideas of what they would like to promote and look more into the future rather than focusing on understanding what was happening before. So there is a clash between kind of the ideas of and goals of understanding your data. You know, they really focus on contemporary and very young authors, whereas as Enrico was kind of talking about it, what we are able to do is more talk about the canonical works and canonization, because that's the easiest part to find in the data sets. Right. If you have very young authors and new authors, those and authors not much translated, but that might be interesting from a literary point of view or from a promotional point of view, those are very often under the radar of our tools. So this of course, there is a major clash of interests and of what we are able to do with the data that we have at hand. Yeah.
Thank you. The last question before entering.
Thank you for the presentation. I wonder if you have been thinking about looking at the impact or reception of the translations in the countries. Can you maybe enrich your data set with information about the existence of the translations in the library collections, or how much the translations are read in different countries, or information like that, or on the translator side, who translates, who publishes, is the independent small publisher or some big commercial publisher?
I did not mention it, but for example, in the case of Füst, it was very important that the first translation has been published by Gallimard, and the second, the German translation, has been published by Rowohl. So these two major publishers, while it is in other cases, the typical is that a university publishing house published something which is interesting for them, but they don't have the capacity to market, to distribute the book, and it happens that this is the case with Krasnovarkai. So his first translation was published in Germany in a small publishing houses, and then later he became. The other thing is that we would like to get information about the holdings of libraries, which also an important. Would be an important thing, but it is very hard to ingest such a data.
May I just add a follow-up question? Also, maybe might even be somewhere in data or available possible reviews of those books in newspapers, such
Yeah.
specialist magazines.
Yeah, we haven't yet started that, but yeah, it would be important, I think. I don't know whether we have the capacity of that. I just mentioned that this Wikipedia article because Wikipedia is one of an example of how to measure the impact. And what you said that literature reviews or even mention in social media, mention in special community-driven review pages like Goodreads, or there are lots of national versions. Even in second-hand book market, you can find information. So.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Peter, and thanks for all the presenters.